Hello and welcome to the Nerds at Large spoilercast for Wonder Woman. I am one of your hosts, Darby Hallman,
I'm the other host, Jeff Mayo.
and Jeff, I like a DC movie.
Whoa.
And, I guess we should probably preface this with the way these spoilercasts work. We're gonna go into talking about Wonder Woman, but we're gonna be spoiler free for the first little bit here.
Or at least try.
We're gonna try our very hardest to be spoiler free, but you should go out and see the movie. But we'll let you know. We'll be very clear when the spoilers are going to begin, so that if for some reason you haven't gone out and see this movie,
Yep.
You
You
can
can pause the video, go see the movie just to hear what we have to say.
we're that special.
Yep.
And hopefully this is sounding a lot better to you right now because the University of South Carolina was kind enough, specifically WUSC was kind enough to let us use their podcasting equipment.
Yep.
So me and Jeff feel ultra fancy in this room right now.
Indeed.
It's pretty crazy. And might have more. We might be doing this more in the future, so definitely stay tuned about that.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, Jeff, Wonder Woman, what do you think?
I like it.
Does it? I mean, you're obviously a much bigger comic book guy, and you have a bigger history with all of these characters that we do this with.
Yeah, just so people don't know, as far as like Darby says, I'm more into comics in general, but more specifically DC compared to Marvel.
Yeah. Jeff's a big DC guy.
Yep.
So does this hold up in what your expectations?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a lot more than the other ones we've gotten in this universe.
Yeah, and
At least Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. I still like Man of Steel. Pretty good.
I like Man of Steel too. I think that people talk down on Man of Steel too
I
much.
feel like after Batman v Superman came out, everyone's like, "Oh, Man of Steel was awful as well."
Yeah, there was a lot of revisionist history there. There were some people who didn't like Man of Steel right off the bat, but a lot of people did. I mean, it was a solid Superman movie, especially if you hate buildings.
Yeah.
If you hate buildings, that was the best movie ever.
Yeah.
But Jeff found some good to like in Batman vs Superman. Like, he found like some fun things about it. I'm a lot more critical about things. I wish I wasn't, but I just could not stand Batman vs Superman. And Suicide Squad was a whole new level of bad.
Well, I'll just say this: I've still not seen Suicide Squad. Surprisingly, saw a review. We were gonna see it day one. Reviews came out. We're like, we'll just not do that then. I just never seen it after hearing more stuff.
I saw it on a plane, so and I think that's about all that movie is worth seeing at. But we're talking about a good movie today, Jeff.
Yay!
Going into this, I even wrote an article earlier this year for the Daily Gamecock. I was talking about it's not a unique perception, but I was saying that this was kind of like DC's last shot for a lot of people. I think, including myself. To bring this cinematic universe back, where they wanted it to be. I thought this was about their last chance, or I'm
give
gonna
people at least some semblance of hope.
yeah, or I'm just gonna stop seeing these in the theater. So I was saying this is the last one. If this is bad, I'm done. But I was amazed right from the start. It seemed like all the things that drove me up the wall about Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad, from like the pacing. Especially the pacing's the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
And the writing and even the special effects, all that stuff it just seemed like they were so much more on their game with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because they spent I feel like it handled the kind of silly supernatural stuff and the silly you can do the Amazon stuff very poorly. I could see that going very poorly.
I was worried that they could do that stuff poorly.
Yeah, but I feel like they did it. It was a small enough segment, and they did it right. They did it the acting was really well, and they kind of got in there, got the story beats that you're expecting, and then got out of there. Yeah. So I was left with a pretty good impression of it actually, and that those arrows, that arrow combat and stuff. Those are some awesome fight scenes.
The Amazons kicked ass.
Oh yeah, they did. I mean, and I was impressed the whole way through, the choreography and this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it was a little over the top, but I mean, it's a superhero movie. It was fun.
Yeah. Trying to be careful because no spoilers. Not used to this as much.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, what I just said was the very early part of the movie.
Well, I don't think it's a spoiler that Amazons are in this.
What? But I mean, all right. What other spoiler-free things do you want to say? I mean, I'll just say like if you were a skeptic like me, like and if you really didn't like the other movies, I'd just say like definitely give this one a shot because I really feel like I feel like they were listening to the criticisms of the other ones, and even if they weren't, somehow they like this one managed to like the entire time I was watching Batman vs Superman, I was aware that I was watching a movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just like constantly, I felt like I was being taken out of the experience by the pacing issues and other things like this. I felt like I was invested the whole time.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, well, and kind of just saying this movie wasn't committing the sins of the other one, Batman v Superman and apparently Suicide Squad, because again, I haven't seen it.
Right.
Because this was more focused. It was, it was focused more on a few select characters, or just mainly Wonder Woman compared to Batman v Superman, which carried a whole bunch of plot points, most of which they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, right.
Or making them a lot shorter, or Suicide Squad's case, when I heard focusing too much on everyone.
Spreading itself
so
way too thin.
Just the fact they're focusing on fewer people overall probably helps there alone.
Yeah, I think so too. It was kind of more of a contained story in a way. Which is a similar thing to like Guardians of the Galaxy, like I was saying earlier, and how much I love that. Like I'm kind of liking when they take these superhero movies and look more like kind of narrow it down to just a kind of narrower scope of what's going on, and even to a level like Civil War was kind of like looking at just the conflict of these characters and everything. Yeah. I mean, all of these also obviously like blow up into crazy proportions because it's a superhero movie,
of course,
but generally. And I thought, I mean, and Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot, whatever. We literally just listened to it.
Yeah,
we looked up before recording this podcast, like Gal Gadot saying her name.
Gal Gadot.
Okay, Gal Gadot.
See, my main thing was I couldn't remember if the T was silent or not because I've heard it so many different ways. I feel like
everyone's butcher. I think Jeff even like when he went to Google, he said, "How do you pronounce?" and it already like auto completed her name.
Yeah, that was like the third one down.
Yeah, but anyway, she was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think some people were worried. Most people agree that Wonder Woman and Batman v Superman, for the little time she was in it, was one of the best parts.
I do.
But they're still a little worried, like how can she can carry a movie,
right?
And like you said, she did that very well. I think most people can agree who've seen the movie. That's what it looks like.
I do too. And we'll get more into how she was phenomenal when we get into spoilers, which, are you ready, Jeff?
Yeah, might as well.
I'm kind of itching to talk about like more spoilery stuff. So if you haven't figured it out yet, we love this movie.
Yep.
Go see this movie. Like, go see it in theaters. I think it's definitely one you need to see in a theater.
Yeah, I was surprised. I went, I guess, yesterday at 11 in the morning, and it was decently full.
My theater was packed, yeah.
Families, bringing kids and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And like, yeah, I've seen so many like little girls like dressing up as like, and all this other stuff. And obviously, this movie means a lot to women and all that. And definitely,
it's
like we've had like female fronted action movies and everything. I've seen people like, this is not the first one. Like, yes, but it kind of is the first. It's the first one of this caliber, I think.
I'm trying to remember. Is it at least like a big budget stuff? Isn't this at least in a long time like first? At least female superhero. I know it was like Catwoman and stuff.
Yeah, but that was
definitely the first good one.
That Catwoman was before we knew what we were doing with this stuff. Yeah. That was
I think even then people said it was bad. I can't remember. I don't even know.
They did, and that's what I'm saying is that
At least the first good one. It sounds like.
Yeah, but so go see Wonder Woman. All right. So from this point onwards, full spoilers. Make sure you have seen the movie before you listen to the rest of this.
Yep.
All right. So Jeff.
So Darby.
Where to begin? I think
the beginning of time.
all right, we'll just go all the way back. I think the thing that like kind of like grabbed me the most in this movie and I did not expect to was the relationship between Chris Pine's character of
Steve
Trevor and Diana.
Yeah.
I thought like it was like I actually had like goosebumps and stuff at times when they were like. I mean, like it was a very slow building relationship.
Yeah, I think that was well done because, as we've seen in these superhero movies, for the most part, they can't keep the love interest away. It's just
it's going to happen.
So I think this was definitely one of the more well done ones.
I do too.
It seemed a little more natural,
Mm.
and the chemistry between Gal Gadot and Chris Pines was really good.
Yeah, I agree. And it was like, I liked it. Like, I mean, obviously it ended up like he ended up saying like, "I love you" or whatever, and it was obvious there was a big connection there, and even the like seeing the hotel and everything. But I felt like it wasn't like in your face that they were gonna be a love interest the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like, I mean, because she was like, it was the whole like, fish out of the water thing, like her learning this world and everything, and like learning about humans and that kind of thing, and it kind of just seemed like they were partners along the way most of the time. It ended up being more, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I dropping things. I like that, like you said, it was natural.
Yeah.
It was like kind of a slowly building thing. And I think Chris Pine, like, I knew he was in this movie and I've known him from some other things, but like, he like really like held his own in this movie. Like, he was a really, really good supporting character.
Yeah. It's kind of, I knew it was going to happen because they had to do somewhere. Some ways I'm kind of sad that unless they pull some BS, he's not going to be in any future DC films.
Yeah. Oh, he better not.
Yeah.
He blew up at a place.
Yeah. Well, I knew that going in just because of the fact that this is going back 100 years.
Yeah, I figured.
The only way they could have done that is they brought him back in present. He survived in present day. He's really, really old.
That would be really, really
Yes.
old.
Maybe I thought like they did that in the animated series, but I think they did. One was back in like World War II, so it made a little more sense.
Yeah. No, I hope they don't, because that would be, and I like that. Like, I like that they went there with him dying like that, and that was, I like how it was all connected. That happened, and that like kind of enraged her, and also made her see that there's like humans are still good.
Yeah, and I think they built up Steve Trevor enough to like, okay, this is what he would do at that point in time.
You felt like
he would sacrifice himself.
You felt like you knew him by the end of it, which again, I kind of like figured that there was going to be more emphasis on just her. Like, I didn't know that he was going to play that big of a role in moving everything along, but I was kind of like pleasantly surprised by how well he did, and it was cool to see. Like, you don't get to see, like, I mean, it was cool to see like someone like him being like in a supporting role. Like, I could see him being like a superhero, like the main role. But it was kind of cool seeing even a somewhat big name actor like that, and like that male character being the like really strong supporting roles.
He's gonna be the next Chris in the Marvel universe.
Yep. What else stood out to you about this movie, Jeff?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, the whole Amazon thing I think was done really well, and I guess the mythology around that.
Yeah.
Well, the Amazons, like we said, the action scenes were really good. The whole battle on the beach with Amazons against soldiers.
Yeah. Which I was like, I didn't know exactly what was gonna happen there. I didn't know it was gonna be that big of a battle and everything. Yeah. So it was
I kind of like I think the way it played out was I didn't find it as much BS as it could have been with the whole. They were casualties on both sides. I mean, Amazon ended up winning in a way can kind of make sense because they're stronger than normal people. They're more trained, but they didn't come out with no casualties at all.
Right, and they also, I mean, like, they still have guns, and like
that's what I mean. You would think, okay, the soldiers would either at least do some damage or win, but
I'm glad they weren't just completely demolished in this.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't completely one-sided one way or the other, at least.
Yeah. I was happy about that too, because that's kind of, I was expecting that until the girl got shot and she was like dangling there. I was like, oh, okay, all right, here, this can go both ways like that. Also another thing that I love, like I was telling people when I left the theater that like I loved the World War I setting, because like I feel like every superhero movie we see is like set in modern times, which I mean I understand especially when they're all connected like this. But it was really interesting to see this kind of movie in a completely different setting. Like back in, I just thought that was very interesting.
Just copying Captain America,
but doing it far better. Yeah, I mean, I guess Captain America did do that.
I mean, and here's the thing, though, for both though is the way it makes sense for both of them. Both of them are doing it fine.
So
But yeah, I do agree. Wonder Woman, I definitely like better than the first Captain America.
Yeah, which DC made a better movie than Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they've done before, but it's yeah, I mean, I thought like the whole, I mean, and that's even like the stuff that could have been done really bad, like her in London and like trying on the different like outfits or whatever, and like kind of the fish out of the water thing, and it's pretty like it's nothing crazy new. We've seen that kind of story, that kind of like
humor
like play out before, but I feel like they just nailed it. Like with style wise, it just fit. Like it was a very likable.
Yeah, and
thing.
Here's the thing, though. When reading reviews and stuff, that a lot of people comparing this more Marvel-y. I kind of see that, but not maybe to the point that people were saying it. I felt like, yes, there was humor in this, but not... They didn't overuse it, and when they used it, for the most part, it fit really well. Like, I felt they used the fish out of water thing well and didn't abuse it.
I do, too. And I felt like... I never, like, when I was watching it, I never, like, felt like, oh, they're copying Marvel's humor. It was their own thing, it felt like. I mean, like, it was probably influenced by that. Yeah. But this is the first one, like Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad both tried to insert some humor, into it, and it all fell flat to me. And that's what I was like very impressed that this one I actually laughed, I actually chuckled multiple times, and like Chris Pine said like, no, I don't sleep with women. Yeah. He's like, you don't sleep with... Well, I sleep with women. that was funny. That was like...
Yeah, that was funny, and it didn't feel forced.
No, it didn't. Yeah, it was good. And like, even I thought I was going to hate the secretary. But like, she was a charming, likable character who was in there just enough to where like, yeah, it worked fine.
Used her sparingly.
Yeah.
I guess in a way it sucks. We'll probably never see her again.
Yeah, I guess I thought that we were gonna see something at the end, like other than I guess we saw her like with Diana like walking over, but I thought we were gonna maybe have another scene of her at the like towards the end. But I mean, like she kind of just went away. But I mean, like she was a good comic relief and good like side character with that. I do have gripes, but I don't want to talk bad about this movie, but I mean, I'm going to say like a few things, but I will say like this is another one, like while this movie this is not like a perfect superhero movie. It's not a perfect thing. It didn't do everything right, but it just had...
None of these movies in the last many years are perfect.
No. And a superhero movie is going to have problems anyway. Yeah. But I feel like I was a lot more willing to overlook some of the flaws and some of the like weird things in this movie just because it was just so much fun to watch. Like the entire time, and that's what my dad and my grandpa that I saw with, they haven't seen a superhero movie in years probably, and they had very low expectation, but they're like, that was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed that. It was just like it was a joy to watch.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just moving along. I loved all the characters, even the dumb like, the sniper dude who couldn't shoot because he was afraid.
That's one thing that we can say like a downside. It's like him whole not shooting thing, you feel like that wasn't resolved because it just kind of happened, and then you would think, okay, he'll get the courage to do it later, as generic as that sounds, but I don't remember it happening.
I feel like there was a deleted scene.
Yeah,
I feel like there had to, because that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
There's one other point I think we can bring up that I felt like there was a scene, a little something missing. I guess we'll skip ahead a little.
I'm wondering if it's... Go ahead. When
Ares first reveals himself, her sword's in the top of the building, whatever thing she's in, she tries to grab it. They go away to Chris Pine's, I think, doing something, and then they come back to Diana jumping down with the sword. It just kind of didn't feel right. It felt like something was missing.
Like, I see no way that was the original plan. Yeah. Like, there had to have been scenes in between there, and then they look back and they're like, oh, we made this fight too long. I guess cut that.
Yeah.
They should have just cut the whole thing.
There's no way there was nothing in between that, because if there, wasn't, why not just let her grab the sword when she stabbed him?
I guess the only thing I can imagine that they would be trying to communicate there is that like he's not taking advantage of the fact that she had to jump up there. He's just sitting there staring at her. But either way, it was an awkward way of doing it. It was
that part could have been done better.
I agree. That was
or there was something missing that made it better, but yeah.
Well, there was actually like people in the theater actually like laughed a little bit when she jumped down, which I don't think was what they were aiming for in the movie.
Trying to
The other thing I will say, probably my biggest minus against this movie is I do feel like the villains were not great, and the villains were pretty like just stereotypically evil.
That's the main problem with all these superhero movies in general. Is usually the case. We rarely get come out of these like, oh, that villain was really good
Yeah, I mean
these
like
days.
especially I mean as good as all the Marvel movies are, a lot of their villains are crap.
I mean, yeah, like how many people can say they like more than Loki
Yeah.
and Ego maybe from
Mm.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 maybe
Yeah.
just because.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stop there because the Guardians of the Galaxy is still recently new.
Yeah, people definitely
bad.
couldn't have seen that. I mean, I don't think you, whatever. But I do feel like in like the German military dude and then the poison gas lady.
Dr. Poison.
I don't know anyone's names, not their poison. Like I feel like it was a little unnecessary. It was like if that's all they were gonna be, and there was gonna be no other like sides to the character, maybe we didn't need to see them as much, or maybe they could have just been one character. I mean, like maybe not, but it was just like every time we went to them, it was like it just seemed like they were evil for no reason half the time, and it was just it kind of leaned really hard into the like Germans are evil in the World War I, World War II, like
Yeah.
thing or whatever, which is easy to do, and I get it or whatever. But it's just I feel like it's been done a little much, and I would have appreciated maybe a little bit of gray area, and it would have made the end time like when he like brought her over and was like saying kill her or whatever, you know, it would have made that maybe a little stronger if we had seen at least a tiny bit of good in her.
Yeah.
Like, or if there was like she was doing these bad things, but she was doing it to like feed a family or something. There's just I don't know.
Other than just
I'm
be
writing.
evil, like they never really explained like why she had those scars there. There's nothing behind that other than
Yeah,
you can guess. Okay, some poison accident happened.
yeah.
The most character we technically got out of them, Doctor Poison, whatever, and General Ludendorff. I got Wikipedia up. So
I do remember that name now. I remember them saying that.
Was when they did the poison on the other German generals or whatever, and then they threw the gas mask and shut the doors. Dr. Poison's like, "Why'd you do that?" Ludendorff's like, "Because they don't know that doesn't work," and then they laugh. That's the most character we.
And that's like straight out of like a cartoon,
Yeah.
like just cartoon Justice League or cartoon thing. Like
Yeah.
that's straight out of that, which doesn't exactly work in live action for me. But again, I was able to overlook it. The other biggest minus I have on this movie, and I think this is all I got. It went full Michael Bay at the end. It did like, and I know every superhero movie kind of has the third act crazy showdown battle where they just have to escalate it and make it as crazy as they possibly can. It usually ends up being like the worst part of the movie a lot of times. But I feel like these DC movies are like worse than any of them with it because I feel like the last act of every single DC movie looks the exact same. It's all dark. There's like concrete everywhere, and people are shooting laser beams and stuff at each other. And just like the like look, the color palette, the look, the like just everything that's happening and everything. It just looks like it was all shot in the same like green screen, the same thing, and it just like that battle looked like a different movie at times to me than the rest of it.
Well, as far as that, yeah, I agree. That's probably like is as far as the stretch of the movie, the worst part. Other than certain little things throughout. But in my mind, yeah, they could have toned it down and try and make it different than the other superhero movies. As a whole, it just being a generic superpower battle, I was kind of okay because to me, like Wonder Woman was getting more powerful throughout the movie slowly.
Yeah.
And it just kind of escalated at that point, especially when she was fighting Ares compared to whatever else she was fighting beforehand.
Yeah,
it made sense that was going to be the big.
And I'm not like really griping that they were using crazy powers. I mean that made sense. I know Wonder Woman because I actually do. I have some history with Wonder Woman, not as much as you, but like I know. I mean she's basically like a demigod. Like like she doesn't know it. She doesn't know she has these powers or whatever, but she does. So I mean that made sense, and I didn't even mind Ares. Like he wasn't that bad. Like like he was the best villain of them all because he had like he.
I mean, I wish they could explain it more, but then when you heard his speech and you sit back and think, I was like, okay, I see where he's coming from.
Yeah, you could actually like kind
of.
They
could have gone a little more into it throughout the movie because I still was wondering until Ludendorff, whatever dude, Ludendorff, died. It's like, wait, is he Aries? I don't.
Yeah, because like every step of the way, they were like Wonder Woman, like Diana would say, "No, it's this," and Chris Pine, everyone else would be like, "No, no, no, don't like we can't do that." And then she was right every step of the way. So I was like, "Is he gonna be Aries? Like, was she
Yeah.
right about that?" But then whenever like it was looking like she was gonna like when they were fighting, I was like, "Okay, no, this is too early. Like Aries
Yeah.
is still coming."
I will say though, again, they could something that could have been done better. I don't think it was bad, but I feel like I'm forgetting that his fake name, but the what was the name? Prime Minister or what? Yeah, Sir Patrick Morgan, the guy he ended up being. I thought that wasn't a bad thing. You kind of think about it, it's like, okay, I can see how Ares could use this persona to influence the war.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And that's
It
what.
didn't feel like a complete BS.
Yeah, no, yeah, I could see that. I mean, like, and like when you look back, it's like, oh well, he's kind of been pulling the strings the whole
Yeah.
time. I mean, like he couldn't predict everything that was going to go on, but he's the one that gave them the money to go and
Man,
told them.
he was still
whatever.
influencing Dr. Poison and Ludendorff or whatever.
And he kind of told them not to interfere, not to go to there or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
There was
parts
one
of-
thing I found weird, but then with the whole Ares thing, once he explained kind of what he was doing, it kind of made sense. When Dr. Poison and Ludendorff were talking at some point after the notebook was stolen, they were talking about that, and a page suddenly came into her hand,
yeah,
and she read, it's like, oh, I finally figured out, or something, this is it. I thought, that's kind of, I mean, I know this stuff happened, I feel like, that's very convenient. And then once Ares talked about, like, oh, that was Ares' influence, he kind of like, hey.
yeah, he's been like
May have been
pushing
it,
all
but
this
it kind of made more sense in my mind afterwards, like, okay.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So, even some of the stuff throughout was like, eh. I ended up feeling like, okay, this makes more sense going in, and not, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I was kind of expecting like when it turned out to be that guy, and I know like he was like I recognized him from Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, that was something
I don't remember
some
who he
people
was.
talking. I now recognize him from something, but eh. But then I heard from some people reviewing like it bothered them that effectively Professor Lupin. It's like, who cares?
Professor Lupin, that was it. Yeah.
Like, who cares if it's another character?
No, yeah, that's. But one thing I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's him. But then I kind of expected when they went to fight that he would just kind of like rip off the face or something and become like
Yeah.
the traditional Ares or thing or whatever. But then it was like, oh nope, he's still gonna be this like random white dude with a mustache. It was just kind of it looked a little weird. It wasn't anything that bad. Like it was fine. I just kind of I expected. And then when like he got the armor on, I was like, oh, okay, that's the last we're gonna see of Mustache Man. But you could still like see him.
Yeah. It's like, in a way, I kind of like that better than the whole thing. Oh, he just looks completely different.
Yeah, I'd like that better than like a giant CGI monster the whole time. You know, it makes it a little more human.
Or how Ares is traditionally portrayed, just armor, and then you just kind of you can't really see a face for the most part, and you see like red eyes.
Yeah.
I prefer you can actually see like a man in there than just.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it was bad. I just it was just it was a little funny, but it was like it worked fine.
Yeah.
It worked fine.
I think unless there's any more criticisms or anything else in particular.
Those are my biggest ones, and I even like again, I love this movie. Like I was able to overlook these things.
I
So
didn't hear you
like,
say that. So. Now we need to convince our friends to go up and see it again. Which they haven't.
Which I went into this movie like I was surprisingly hopeful for this movie. I mean I like Wonder Woman from like Justice League shows and stuff like that, and I liked Gal Gadot and everything. I liked her in Batman vs Superman, so I was hopeful, and it was a different director rather than Zack Snyder. So
Give this woman a raise.
seriously,
well, just saying. I'll just say this real quick. Apparently, she's not signed on signed on for the sequel, but I think everything's pointing to they are going to sign her on.
I mean, it's already like I think it was like the 15th best opening weekend or something for a comic book movie, which nowadays that means a lot because there's a lot of comic book movies.
Probably a little more up there. Or maybe I was just looking at origin stories, whatever. But I know it's the top one from a female director.
It beat out like two of the Iron Mans, like the first one and I think the second or one of those. It beat out the first Captain America. It beat out both Thors.
Yeah, I think it was like number 4 or whatever as far as origin stories.
And I feel like this is one that like people can't stop talking about. Like me, I can't shut up about this movie. So I feel like people are just going to continue to see. It's not going to have like the giant drop off that Batman vs Superman did. I don't think
it shouldn't. Yeah. What am I about to say? Oh yeah. I'm gonna say ask how you feel about this thing. Then I'm gonna bring up something else from the movie. They said they're gonna obviously. I mean, it's not a surprise. The sequel's gonna be in modern times.
Yeah. I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah or nay?
I mean,
how is it? I guess it's more of a how is it done thing.
Yeah, it depends on how it's done. In a little because if it's in modern times, I can't see them not including some other DC characters if they're in the same time period. So it also kind of depends on how they do the other characters in Justice League and stuff like that. If they're gonna be jumping in the middle of Wonder Woman, if Justice League is a steaming pile of poop, then I might not be happy about that. But
hopefully they just keep. And I'm just gonna say I hope they do this for pretty much all the solo films, at least for the next little while for DC. Just keep that hero separate, so it's not just filled with a bunch of random stuff. Just have Wonder Woman against Cheetah or something.
Yeah,
do something fun like that.
Just you can bring small people in there that maybe hadn't been in something else would be cool. And I think what's kind of exciting to me is I feel like usually a lot of movies I'm usually skeptical about sequels in general just because they're usually worse. I feel like Wonder Woman kind of lends it as soon as it was over, I want to see her next adventure because you watched her origin story, which by the way, this is probably one of the most fun I've had during an origin story. I'm getting tired of origin stories, but this one was really, really cool. So
I think the whole it being in the past thing kind of helps it compared to other ones, at least separates it from the back.
And I felt like you felt like you had gone so far from the beginning of the movie when she's kind of just this very powerful but kind of clueless person or whatever, and very naive to the end. And she still kind of has that naive hope and stuff that's kind of it kind of reminded me of watching the cartoons and animated series and stuff. I'm kind of glad that they kept a little bit of that kind of hopeful thing around it. I'm not articulating that well.
Yeah.
But so I think that moving on to her next adventure or whatever just makes sense. It just kind of makes it where you just want to see what's next for her. Unfortunately, we know what's next for her, and it's a really horrible movie where you fight a giant CGI Doomsday. And
oh yeah. Well, next one will be fighting a giant CGI Darkseid.
Yeah.
And parademons.
Hopefully they make those better.
Hopefully. Please be good. Please. Oh, but one thing I was going to bring up, I feel something we have to talk about is the No Man's Land scene.
Oh, yes. How have we not talked? Yeah. That scene was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I felt a little emotional during that.
I got goosebumps and stuff in that. And again, I was kind of not even expecting all that much from this movie, but when she runs up there with the shield and everything, it was
I think that was the perfect. I was thinking up to the point when are they gonna? I mean, she's wearing it. When are they gonna reveal her her just wearing her outfit?
Yeah.
Her costume.
I'm glad we didn't have to wait till the end of the movie for that though. I'm glad they kind of
and that was just the perfect way to reveal it, for lack of a better term, because we all know she was wearing it. We know what it looks like.
Yeah, that whole scene. I mean, that whole section of scenes is by far my favorite part of the movie. I think everyone's and even the party afterwards when everyone's dancing and everything. It was.
You know what the crazy thing about that scene is, Darby? It almost didn't make it into the film.
Really?
Patty Jenkins apparently had to kind of fight for it a little bit.
Oh wow!
I mean, I might be getting the story wrong, but it's kind of apparently it almost didn't make it into the film.
I mean, I guess in some ways or whatever, technically in the overarching plot, it didn't have to be there, but that it would be a much it would be a much worse movie.
Because reading impressions,
and them bombing the town would have so much less impact and stuff. If
I think they were going to do the whole the city thing still, but they weren't going to do the whole her walking across No Man's Land the way they did.
That would have been a mistake.
Yeah, I think from reading impressions, that is most people who really like this movie's favorite scene, if not, one of them at least.
That's mine. It's definitely mine. It was just, I mean, the whole thing, it was just so cool. It was emotional, it was cool, it was charming, it was all the things you'd want it to be. I mean, the fight scenes were great. Like, I'd heard some people like beforehand said that the fight scenes weren't as good as like some other movies or whatever. I was like, I thought the choreography and stuff was really cool. I'd rather see like really cool like fight scenes like that than just explosions and
Yeah,
like
I
stuff
think
like
it
that. I
helps
mean, like,
in a way. Set fight choreography. It helps it. Yeah, it's just not all boom, boom, bam, explosions
and they
bunch of
made the
magic
lasso
stuff.
not dumb. The lasso seemed cool.
Yeah,
It seems like it's really hard to make the lasso cool.
yeah. When in other things, you just hear lasso of truth. Tell me your secret.
Yeah, like I don't envy being the people that has to take that to a live action setting. I don't envy that at all. And even her using it, I mean, her using it in combat was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like she's like, I mean, just that whole no man's like afterwards when she's fighting in the town when it's like panning around her and she's just like hitting people with a sword, lasso someone, like sling them over. It was really, really, really well
Obviously,
done.
me finding myself like I know, okay, the lasso and all that stuff can be really cool when done right.
When done right, yeah.
Will they do it right?
But live action, I would worry. Like I worry that
definitely.
that kind of stuff can get real dumb real fast.
See, here's the thing I think which has helped Marvel over DC with this stuff is I feel like overall you don't have to, for the most part, at least the characters they've chosen, you don't have to do as much to make the Marvel characters seem cool when doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Because like Superman can be lame.
Yeah,
Batman, even Batman in a way, the Flash and stuff, we need to see how they do that.
Yeah, Batman dude dresses up as a bat
Yeah.
and runs around punching people in the
Yeah.
face. I mean, it could be dumb. Superman that like leaps a building in a single bound and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, like that early Superman stuff is cheesy, and so all of it is. But yeah.
And we'll see how they do Aquaman with all the preconceived notions everyone has of him.
Well, it looks like their solution for Aquaman is just make him completely different, like at least visually wise. Like,
I mean, yeah, visually, but at least it seems like personality-wise, really not much different to the stuff I'm used to.
right.
People think of that Justice League of America, whatever, that old cartoon where
Yeah.
I don't know, they just make fun of him a lot, and from what I understand, Big Bang Theory doesn't help because they make fun of Aquaman a lot.
I mean, granted, in theory, Aquaman's pretty lame.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that the Aquaman can't be cool. I'm not gonna sit here and diss on Aquaman completely, but he's pretty easy to make fun
I know.
of. It just when in comparison to everyone else, but I mean, like all superheroes are pretty easy to make fun of if you really drill it down.
This movie definitely gives more hope for at least the solo films.
Yeah, I'm still like I went back because honestly, I've been like Wonder Woman's had me so hyped. I kind of want to go back and is it Justice League Dark? Is that the one that just released a few years ago?
The animated movie.
Yeah, I never watched it. I kind
I
of want
think
to.
it was okay. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh yeah, apparently right now they're saying their next movies they're going to focus on is Justice League Dark, the live action one, which could go either way easily to me.
Yeah.
And the Batgirl film with Joss Whedon.
That
one
especially because it has Joss Whedon could be really cool. But because I've kind of been like interested in DC stuff like the last few days, just coming off of Wonder Woman, I went back and watched the Justice League trailer, and it's worse than I remembered. Like it looks bad. I'm still not convinced that movie's going to be any good, and because it's sad, like it's really sad what happened to Zack Snyder and everything. But still, that movie seems like it's kind of going through hell, you know. So.
Seems like the Flash in that same case. Well, Aquaman's going fine, apparently. Going smoothly. Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of Wonder Woman stuff, if you look, there's an animated Wonder Woman movie that I guess kind of tells a similar story to this. That really good. I can see you liking. Like, came out 2009, 2010.
Maybe I can read some modern comic or something. I haven't, I've been so out of this for so long. I watched, like, some of the old animated cartoons and stuff, but it's been a long time.
While we were watching Justice League, the cartoon still holds up pretty well. Little stuff here and there, of course, because it's still a cartoon for kids over 10 years old, but overall.
Yeah.
Be a lot worse.
All right, we'll wrap it up, Jeff, but any closing thoughts on Wonder Woman?
I'm trying to think if there's anything we miss.
There's something.
They weren't used a crazy amount, but I enjoyed what we saw. I mean, brought up a little bit. Steve Trevor's companions.
I did too. Like they were like, I mean, maybe a little underutilized, but at the same time, I wanted the focus to be on Diana. Anyway.
Yes.
And it was just like, I felt like they were charming enough. They did a good job. They all had their character traits, and like some of them did. Like the Native American guy, like he stole a car. That's about it.
Yeah.
But
he did a smoke signal.
He did, yeah. You're right.
Stereotypes.
Yay, aren't they great?
Oh yeah. Something we kind of didn't bring up. Maybe we should just real quick. How do you feel about Diana's mom?
I thought
Hippolyta.
I thought all the Amazonian were like really cool, but I was like I liked how when you were looking at it, you could see like the pain that she was feeling for letting her go and everything like that, and I thought it was well done.
I'm interested to see what they do with her, and I have trouble. I can't even pronounce the name. I know you're gonna try that. Amazon General lady who died. They're gonna be in Justice League. They announced shortly after the Wonder Woman came out. So interested to see what they do with them.
Yeah. As well.
Yeah.
So, great movie.
Indeed.
God, I'm so happy. I'm sure it's a sigh of relief to you. I'm sure.
Yep.
This whole DC cinematic universe.
Hope.
And I don't know. I have a feeling Justice League won't be great, but maybe there's hope for like the future solo ones. And if not, I might just love this one random movie in the middle of a series that I don't care for.
Okay, just a quick question. Because I completely understood your stance of if Wonder Woman's bad, just no more DC films in general. Let's say Justice League is bad. Would you be willing to at least give some solo films that are not Zack Snyder related a shot?
Yeah, I would. I mean, and part of it would be I'd probably look at some reviews before I went into.
Well,
theaters.
luckily those come out days before we would even go / get tickets anyway. So
yeah, and I might be all talk anyway, but I would just be frustrated if it was like yet another DC movie that was like a slog to get through. I just would struggle having motivation to move into them. But
understandable.
But I mean, like it seems like maybe the solo ones are far enough away that they can kind of.
And again,
but
they shouldn't have the movie being stuffed with a whole bunch of random plot lines.
Yeah.
I mean, that Batman v Superman Suicide Squad had.
Yeah.
In theory, anyway.
All right. Well, you ready to get out of here, Jeff? All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, you guys. Definitely make sure to check out our other Nerds at Large stuff on our YouTube channel.
Yep. We got E3 next week.
Yeah, if you're listening to this before E3, we're planning a bunch of E3 coverage, so that should be fun. You can go look at our E3 predictions episode we did on our Nerds at Large Gaming podcast.
Yeah, it's up now as we're recording this, so definitely up when you're listening to this.
Yep. And definitely just stay tuned for future stuff.
Yep.
So
I'm sure we will do the same thing for Spider-Man next month.
Yeah, and I'm working on making this its own like podcast feed, so definitely stay tuned to this. We're going to try to do more Spoilercast as we come across things we want to do, like Game of Thrones for sure next month.
BoJack Horseman, hopefully in a couple months.
Hopefully, yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for listening, everyone.